Welcome to the Wecm Leadership Committee here at the Coordinating Board. Please turn your cell phones to silent vibrate mode, and there's a button on your mic. If you want to be heard, you're going to have to press that button that's right in front of you there. And I know we're sharing mics. Some of us are sharing mics. Stuff available to the microphone because the whole meeting is being recorded live, I understand, out on the web. I know that there's new members that had not participated before. So before we get started with the official meeting, we're going to go around the room and let everybody introduce themselves, and then we'll proceed with the agenda that we have. It's going to be broadcasted here in a few minutes. Most of you got an email from Robin if you have your phone or your computer on. Start at the right side of the...
Thank you, Rafi. Catherine O'Brien, San Jacinto College.
I'm Juan Garcia, and I'm new. I actually got fitted last year, I guess. And so I'm excited to join the group. I kind of look at how I got here. So something I did, and I'm happy.
No good deed goes unpunished.
Kirk White, Houston Community College.
Good morning. I'm Terry Nix from Howard College.
I'm Robin Garrett, the immediate past chair of the Wecm Leadership Committee from Lone Star College.
And I'm Rafael Brasida, the current chair of the committee from St. Philip's College in San Antonio.
I'm Don Perry. I'm chair-elect, and I'm with the Dallas County Community Colleges.
Kristen Walker, representing TACE, Texas Administrators of Continuing Education.
I'm Jeff Parks from San Jacinto College and the fiscal agent for the Wecm project.
Good morning. Cindy Griffith with Blinn College. Yeah, I'm also new, and thank you for the privilege to serve, and I look forward to our work together.
And I'm Dwayne Shaw from Kilgore College, also new. I was a fit trainee with Cindy, actually, so but new to the committee.
Joe Garcia, actually from Dallas County Community College, and also new to the committee.
Hi, Kay Young with Weatherford College, and I represent the TACT committee.
Dwayne Hiller from the coordinating board. I'm the Perkins liaison for the Wecm grant.
Faye Murphy for San Jacinto College, and I'm the Wecm director.
Well, we want to thank all the new members, and you'll enjoy your stay here with the committee. There's a lot of work that gets done, so we hope that your membership is going to help the state get to the next level as we continue to improve the Wecm processes and the courses that we provide to the whole state of Texas. So our next item on the agenda is to review the minutes, and we had a discussion about some of the items in the minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and let Robin, she has a few comments to make, and a couple of you also had some comments. So go ahead, Robin.
I would like to propose that these minutes be redrafted and sent out to the Wecm Leadership Committee for vote because there are some inconsistencies in some of the paragraphs, and the members in attendance were missing from this document. So it would be best in our best interest to have this redrafted and sent back out if everybody agrees.
If that's a motion, I'll second it.
It's a motion. Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion that we're going to go ahead and redraft the minutes. And again, you can still take these minutes and review, and in case you have more comments, you'll get an electronic file sent to you, and then we'll go ahead and make those changes. And like Robin said, we should have the members that were present. I know we had a sign-in sheet last time we met. Somebody probably has it somewhere, but we'll go ahead and get those minutes out to the whole committee, and please provide feedback so we can get this out before our next meeting. We can do an electronic vote to accept the minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Any other comments on the minutes? So the motion is to go ahead and look at the minutes and then get them out to the membership. Those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. So we'll go ahead and go on to the next item on our agenda, the coordinating board report and updates. right now we only have Dwayne Hiller here, so go ahead and give us your update.
Okay, not really anything new to say about the database. We're still working on getting a few of the bugs out, but as soon as, hopefully by the time the workshops get started, we'll have a clean database and ready to get it updated again and go through the whole process again. But other than that, as you know, it's pretty much a statewide concern as we're working on adopting guidelines for meeting the 60 credit hour rule for associate degrees. And as I know, people are really anxious about finding, what kind of guidance we can give to the field. As I say, we're still working on that, and I actually have a meeting today that I'll have to go to, and that I'll have to leave this meeting to go to, and I'll be hopefully getting you an update within the next month or two. But as of now, we're still in the process of developing guidelines and guidance. Otherwise, if you have any questions or other concerns.
I have a question. You provided a little bit of information yesterday that you might want to share with the larger group with respect to the website for where the information is currently for Wecm and the old edition of Wecm and that kind of stuff. Would you kind of brief the rest of the group on that?
Thanks for reminding me. As years have gone by, we've had several attempts to redesign the Wecm website. It went from the pretty yellow website with all the pictures around in a circle, then went to a green and blue website that still had all the same links, but it was more readable. And we also have agency standards for our websites, which basically just list out each of the topics by topic area. During the next few months, we're going to be redesigning and trying to consolidate all of these websites, which, as I mentioned before, just kind of cobbled together from all of the previous versions of the websites, and trying to get a more unified, centralized location where, like, if you go to the Wecm search page, you can also find links to, like, the protocol manual, the Wecm comments link, and other, useful sites. And so hopefully we'll get that done within the next 6 months or so. And so we're looking for a rollout, hopefully by next fall. As I say, it's an ongoing process. We have staff working on doing these changes and getting updated. And again, I'll let you know as soon as those changes have been made. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dwayne. Okay, our next item on the agenda is regarding the project activities, and I know Faye and Jeff are probably going to give us some information specifically to the workshop nominations and some of the logistics. And I know later on in the agenda we'll have Don report out on all the activities that were completed yesterday. But Faye and Jeff, can you give us some updates on the project and the activities?
Yeah, everything is progressing along as far as the hotel arrangements have been made for the May workshop. The June workshop, we're finalizing for the last two, the letters of agreement for the last two workshops. And we've been working with our culinary department on all the food for the different activities during the time that we're going to be in the workshops. And then we've been setting up the particular workshops as far as getting the documentation pulled together and all of the frequency data. We're going to be starting to pull that frequency data, working with Dwayne on that. So everything's coming together very nicely.
Hey, do you have anything else to add?
All of you, that part of your role is being on leadership.
Right. Well, thank you, Jeff and Faye. We are going to let Robin give us an update on what happened at the TACRO annual conference in El Paso.
Yes. Steve Davis, a member of this board, and I presented at TACRO. It was a great presentation. There were a lot of new people to the Texas organizations there, and there were a lot of questions. We had, I think, between 40 or 50 participants, and we presented on the new database. We showed a demonstration of that. We discussed what was going to be covered in the summer workshops, what was going to be reviewed, and the audience was very attentive and asked a lot of questions, and it was a great presentation. We had a good time.
Robin, the TACE and the TACTI conferences that are going to be held in April are also requiring of us to do presentations. This is one of the requirements that the coordinating board has, that at each one of these state organization, one of the leadership team members updates the field on what's going on. So we have the TACE conference is going to be here in Austin, and Kurt White, you're going to be the one presenting the nuts and bolts of Wecm. And then TACTI, I believe Robin and Terry are going to be presenting at that conference. So as we do our annual report, Faye and Jeff, we need to go ahead and put that in our minutes as part of the goals that we are supposed to be accomplishing for the project. So Terry and Robin will be presenting at the TACTI conference, and Kirk White will be presenting at the TACE conference. Do you guys have dates for those? Can we get the dates? Okay.
The TACTI conference, the spring conference, will be held April 9th, 10th, and 11th at the downtown Omni in Austin, Texas.
The TASTE conference will be held at South Park Omni in Austin, April 22nd, 23rd, 24th.
Okay, thank you. The next item in the agenda is the report outs from the organizations. But so I'm going to go ahead and move up the TACE Wecm since it's tied to the project. So, Kristen, do you want to give us an update on what work has been done or what we plan on doing with the Wecm, the review of the courses for the special topics and local needs? I know that Kurt had been helping with that, but since you're the TACE representative, I'm sure you can give us an update.
Yes, sir. The former president, past president, Kathy Ashworth, will lead that charge representing TACE and bring the group together this summer. And she will follow Kirk's precedents and the model that's been set forth. And we have filled some empty slots as far as representatives, but we still are missing a South Region rep, and we lost our Central Region rep, so we're still on a mission. So I will be reaching out myself to South, and Frank Graves, our vice president, is in the Central Region, so he'll be looking for a Central Region rep. But we will get that shored up in time for the committee to come together.
So you're saying the Central and the South region, and you have people here from those two regions. I think Juan you could probably talk to him. He may have some recommendations for in the Central. There's a lot of people here that are in the Central region, including myself, so we can try to get that committee filled, because they play an important role in getting all these courses reviewed and back to the project, so we can get the work done before the workshop. Important.
Mr. Chair, it might be helpful, and Kirk, you might be the one that would like to do this, but especially for our new members, I think it would be instructive, and even for the folks who might be listening in or viewing this later, to get a sense of what the activity is surrounding the TACE Wecm review.
Sure. The TACE Wecm committee was kind of reactivated several years ago when it was determined that we needed to remove the review of the continuing education, special topics, and local needs courses from the actual summer workshops and free up time in those summer workshops for other things, like we were doing the TEACS review and other other things that needed time. And because historically, most of the instructional specialists that go to the summer workshops are college credit instructors, they often didn't feel comfortable reviewing the CE, special topics, local needs. We decided to start using the TASE Wecm committee, who is made up of 6 plus the chair, correct? 7 representatives, including the chair. So you've got representation from the 6 areas of the state, and they are all CE professionals who have had extensive experience in working with Wecm. Some of them may have been facilitators at Wecm workshops, but they have to at least be actively involved in the administration of Wecm and special topics and local needs at their college. I think it's at least 2 years, I think. And what they do is starting early, mid-spring, Dwayne produces copies of all of the special topics and local needs that have been submitted in the prior year for the SIP code areas that are going to be reviewed that summer. And the committee takes their time reviewing all of those and making determinations whether they're valid local needs, valid special topics, not valid, if there's problems with them, if they're not workforce, the same protocol that's used in the Wecm workshop to determine whether they're valid local needs or special topics. They also look to see if they see any trends in what's submitted, meaning one or more college is doing the same thing with the special topics, which might trigger a statewide need for a new course to be written. If new courses are written, they will write the initial draft, and then those courses are given to the faculty who attend, or the instructional specialists who attend the summer workshops, to actually validate them and make them permanent Wecm courses. But the process goes through the spring. It's all done virtually. There's usually at least one webinar that's done to have everybody come back and explain how they reviewed their assigned courses and make any final adjustments. And then the chair organizes all of this and produces a final report that goes back to the Wecm director and to Dwayne to be included in the summer workshops. And those outcomes are divvied up and shared with the instructional specialists at each of the teams that actually come to the summer workshops. Any questions about that?
So we get an idea of the magnitude of the amount of work that gets done. Last year, I'm looking at the numbers, there was 1,070 courses that were reviewed last year, which is a very large number. And if we didn't have this Wecm TASE committee helping us, we really get bogged down at the summer workshops. They reviewed, from what I see here, 78 courses. Just that one group reviewed that many special topics and local needs. And the complexity is that these courses come in, the outcomes may not be meeting the Wecm protocol, so they have to review those. They may not be a Wecm course, maybe they're a CGM course, and they try to put it through the Wecm process. So there's a lot of reasons why this committee is important, is to make sure that the courses are consistent and they meet the Wecm protocol. So Kurt, thanks for the update. And so those of you that are new, that's a very important process for us. If not, we would probably end up staying 3 or 4 days at the summer workshops if we didn't have the TASE Wecm review prior to the summer workshops. Thanks for the work you've done, and now we have a past chair that's going to be taking care of that task.
Kathy Ashworth will be chairing it, but I'm available to her to help the transition, so she's on it.
Thank you.
Raphael, may I ask a question?
Yes.
What is your expected finish date?
We usually try to get that done prior to May, I believe is usually what it is. I'm trying to remember the actual schedule. I talked to Kathy yesterday, and she said she basically was going to take the schedule that we've used the last few years and just adjust the dates, because it shifts a little bit. But it usually get them in plenty time for your preparation for the actual workshops. And I think it's by May, isn't it?
Yes, the first year we actually kicked it off at TASE, but we moved it up to kick it off earlier in April so that the the teams could review and have enough time to present it to the project in May in order, plenty of time for the summer workshops.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, any other question?
Thank you. So we'll continue with the report out. So we talked about TASE, but I don't know if Kristen has anything else on TASE besides you mentioned the annual conference here in Austin. Is there anything else do you have from TASE?
We had a really great response with presentation proposals, and I think we're going to put together one of the best conferences. From the board's level, I can even tell you that there still continues to be just talk of even more in-depth. We've done a Wecm 101, and that's something that when we don't offer it, it's always missed because we have so many new people or new attendees. They may be in CE for a while, but they're attending the conference for the first time. So it's a way for them to get to really understand at a different level or from a different perspective other than their institutions, maybe what all Wecm can provide as a resource tool. But there's even just so much more. So advanced, you can go, we could do a whole conference probably on really just knowing how to really utilize Wecm and understand rubrics and stuff. So it's really interesting, the conversation. So I hope that TASE will continue to have those conversations and look at other ways from a regional level or even through our website to deliver that kind of information to our membership. So that's our big focus right now, is us as board members learning our website and utilizing it to its best capacity. So look forward for your staff or other staff who are listening or participating to see that coming from TASE in the future. So we want to be that kind of a resource for our membership.
Okay, Kay, can you give us an update on TACTI, please?
Yes, the TACTI board would like to invite everyone to attend the 2014 Spring TACTI Conference to be held at the Omni downtown Austin. The title of the conference will be Riding the Waves of Change. Sarah Armstrong will be presenting at the pre-conference on substantive change. Donna Carlin will be presenting at the pre-conference talking about the Perkins update again, and that's always a popular subject. In the fall, just a little commercial, in the fall, our conference is scheduled to be held October 9th, 10th, and 11th at the Omni downtown Austin. Again, this is not actually called the TACTI Conference, but the TCCIL Fall Conference. So we would like to invite everyone to attend if you can.
Can you give us those dates again for the October?
Yes. October 9th, 10th, and 11th. In Austin, yes. Austin, downtown Omni. We're moving to South Park, but not yet.
Thank you. Now, TACRO, the representative Matthew Hever is not here today. I believe he was not at any of the teleconferences that we had over the month of December and January. We had a conversation yesterday. I mean, we understand that there's some issues of him getting here, the distance. So we discussed the possibility of maybe having someone that can make it to the meetings. I mean, we don't always need TACRO here, except when we need to do some things with course descriptions or rubrics and things like that. But I don't know if anybody else has any comments regarding the TACRO rep. I know it's very hard because he's at, I don't think he's at Harlingen. Where is he at? Does anybody know? He's at, what college is he at? South Texas. Yeah, South Texas. So, any other comments regarding the TACRO representation in the committee? Okay. All right, thank you. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next item on the agenda. Don, you want to give us an update on, I know you've been working with Dwayne on the protocol?
Yes. Back at the August leadership meeting, there was a discussion about the need to update the Wecm Protocol Manual. As chair-elect, and those of you who are new, the responsibility of the chair-elect is to be the keeper of the protocol manual. And as such, what I did was prepare a list of recommendations of updates for the protocol so that when we had our October 29th meeting, prior to that meeting, I sent those out for review. And then we had a rather lengthy discussion with respect to each one of those. So some of the recommendations that I had proposed, this group at that time made some additional modifications, which is great. That's why we review this as a whole group. So at the end of that process, on October 29th, after feedback and updating, we approved. There were a total of 8 different protocols that we made modifications to. And I gave those to Dwayne Hiller to process so that we can get those updated and eventually posted to the Wecm website. Dwayne sent those to everyone yesterday late for you to have. So there's an updated version of the entire manual, which also represents those 8 particular protocols which we have approved. So, Mr. Chair, at this point, I have no other protocols to present at this meeting.
I just want to bring up one issue. The file I sent you yesterday, I just realized reading the minutes this morning that for some reason I didn't see any changes to 20102 in the email Don sent me. And it wasn't until I read the meeting minutes this morning that I realized that that was combined with 20101.
That's right.
And somehow I just forgot that. And so the version I sent yesterday includes 20102 unchanged. Just mark that page out, and it has been incorporated into 20101. And I will make those changes in the version that gets posted on the web.
Very good. Thank you.
Don, I had
Talking about the protocol, let's take a second here to discuss the proposed GIPWE changes and edits that are being conducted at the coordinating board. Now, all of you should have gotten an email from me with the attachment that came from the coordinating board regarding the draft on the GIPWE. So obviously the protocols are going to be linked. They're not going to be part of the GIPWE manual. There's going to be a link there to make it easy for the field to go ahead and have access to the protocol. So we discussed this over the phone with Gary and some of the other coordinating board staff regarding our input to the coordinating board as a committee. Okay, as a committee, it's not proposed to go out to the field until when? Dwayne, can you give us when is the draft going to go out to the field for comment?
I'm not quite sure of the timeline, but as soon as we get the comments from the organizations back, we send out copies to TACD, TACE, Wecm, and TACRO, I believe. And we're planning to get their comments back just from those organizations at the end of February. And then we'll review those comments and respond to them and incorporate any that we feel are important, I guess you say valid. And then we'll send that version of the GIPWE out to the field beginning of March and give a 30-day comment period to receive comments from people in the field.
Should only be commenting about Chapter 4.
Okay, so you're looking at sending it out to the field early March. That's what you're saying, right? Sometime in March?
I'll have to double check my calendar.
Okay.
But,
well, and the reason I'm asking the question is so we as a committee, we need to get together and get our comments back. Our charge really should focus on Chapter 4, which is on the Wecm manual, right? That's what we do for a living here. So
right, yeah. The intent was to send it to, for each organization to comment on anything that, is especially pertaining to them. Like for TACE, it would be reviewing any of the continuing education information and seeing if there are any changes or updates you want to make to those sections. And like you say, for this group, it would be for the Chapter 4.
Okay.
That's right.
All right, so let's have a little discussion as to, the logistics and, when we want the comments back from everybody so the executive committee can get together and send a unifying message back to the coordinating board, and we don't have everybody inundating Dwayne and Gary, with, comments from, every corner of the world here. So you talked about March, so I'm thinking, we need to have something back here before the end of February, so the executive committee can, put everything together and get it back to the coordinating board.
Mr. Chair?
Catherine?
I was going to say, for our new members, would you let them know who the members of the executive committee are, please?
So the executive committee is made up of the previous past chair, which is Robin Garrett, the current chair, which is me, and then the chair-elect, which is Don Perry, and then the fiscal agent, which is Jeff.
Right.
That's the and then we have a coordinating board member, but since we're sending the comments back to Dwayne and Gary, it'd probably be just the four of us collecting the information. So please email those results back to me, then I'll get the executive committee together, and then we'll go ahead and take your comments and send them as one from the committee. So let's talk about a date and, and try to get this back as soon as we can to the coordinating board.
I would recommend that the leadership committee members send their comments to you no later than Friday, February the 21st.
Does anybody have issues with that date?
That would give us that next week
To review.
That would give us that next week, and then we could move forward with our recommendations before the beginning of March. Dwayne, if you find that does not fit with the schedule of sending the draft out to the colleges, will you please let us know?
I sure will.
Thank you.
Okay, so then we agreed there's going to be the 21st of February. Get your comments back to me. Again, if you should have a copy of the draft. Did everybody get a copy of the draft? Okay, so we need to have a motion to accept this date.
So
My
moved.
recommendation is made into a motion.
So moved.
Okay. Second. Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. So the 21st of February, we'll get those comments back so the executive committee can have a little bit of time to get all the comments together. And again, please remember, Chapter 4, it's really where we're involved, but if you have anything else, we can get it to Dwayne and Gary. Okay, so our next item on our agenda, which I know is going to take a little bit of time, if you need to get up and use the facilities or get yourself some coffee, it's our project updates from Don on the summer workshops and all the activities that have occurred since we met last as a task group and also as a committee back in October. So, Don.
All right, sir. One thing here. The Wecm Task Group was formed about almost 3 years ago now. And it's comprised of a subset of members from the leadership group itself. And our responsibility and role is to do some background work that we can present to the full leadership committee with respect to preparation for Wecm workshops. When we formed this group back 3 years ago, it was when the leadership committee at that time agreed that we needed to reconfigure how and who we brought in for the Wecm workshops. And we did such based on the fact that prior to that time, the schedule of courses that were under review, we had a protocol that basically said that we would review courses once every 3 years, and then we had certain triggers, licensure changes, changes in technology and those kinds of things. But we had this commitment that once every 3 years, every course would have an opportunity to be reviewed for currency and updating and continued need, or whether it should be archived. And what we found historically over the period of years was, since there was not a particular logic assigned to the zip codes on this 3-year schedule, there were times when we would bring in teams of instructional specialists to a particular workshop, and then sometime later in that same summer at a different workshop and another team, we would be talking about some of the learning outcomes and content that we would have benefited more had those teams been at the same workshop. And so what we wound up doing was saying that we needed to configure our schedule of saying which zip codes and therefore courses should be reviewed kind of in order. And so we did that by housing them, if you will, under the 16 career clusters. Given the fact that we knew that because of Perkins 4 and because of the work with TEA and the coordinating board to move us more in the direction of looking at programs of study, that the truth of the matter is courses don't exist in and of themselves independently. Courses exist within their relationship to one another, connected to programs. And so it made some logic then to say that we would organize the review schedule based on the relationship that these courses had to one another. And so we decided that what we would do is reorient our scheduling. Now, in trying to do that reorientation, we also wanted to still try as best we could to honor this cycle that we had been using. I will say as a caveat, however, that one of the protocols that we approved just last meeting and is now official is the fact that given this new structure, that rather than having a 3-year cycle, we voted to go with a 4-year cycle. Because truthfully, what we discovered in the last couple of years when we've been doing this is that we're actually taking a much closer look at those course relationships, and it's taking a little bit more time in the process. And also there is, in fact, a state leadership project that's also going on with respect to programs of study. And it's anticipated that, in fact, what's going to occur is the outputs from those programs of study project will actually be a feeder or a driver of information that we will be using as a leadership group in working with the workshops. So, having said all of that, this task group, as I say, has been working now for about 3 years, and we meet the day before the leadership meeting, and we're trying to do all the kind of the nitty-gritty strategic and logistics planning for these workshops. So, that as a background, let me now give you, excuse me, a sense of where we are with the preparations for this summer's workshops. The SIP codes and clusters under review for this summer are clusters 8, 10, and 15, which actually includes nursing and all the allied health related SIP codes and courses.
8, 10, and
So it's clusters 8, 10, and 15. And what we've done is we, again, in looking at the relationships of courses in program-related areas, we've identified 4 separate workshops which will be held this summer. Workshop 1 will take place May 20th through the 22nd and will include the SIP codes that are involved with these rubrics. RNSG, which is nursing, VNSG. If y'all try to write all these down, you're going to get lost. NUPC, NURA, HOMH, SRGT, RSPT, RADR, MAMT, DSAE, DSPE, DMSO. That workshop will be divided into 7 separate teams.
And like Don said, don't try to write them down because Faye is going to give you, once you sign up to be a facilitator in one of these workshops, you'll get all that information sent to you via email. So
Right.
It'll be coming out. So it's a lot of information to absorb right now.
Right. So it's 7 teams for workshop 1. What we have is 2 lead facilitators, and then we'll need a facilitator for each of those 7 teams. Workshop 2.
Don, may I add something quickly? One thing that we've also worked, or we're working on yesterday, was the nomination form.
I was going to go into all of that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll let you talk about that then.
Okay. I'm just giving
No, that's fine.
the overview of the
trying to help.
workshops first. Okay, workshop 2 is June the 3rd through the 5th. The SIP codes will include the following rubrics: MRMT, HITT, PHRA, MDCA, ECRD, MLAB, HLAB, PLAC, BITC, EMSP. And let's see here. Let me see my list. Trying to remember the total number of teams. I think that's 6 teams, if I remember right.
6.
Yeah.
6 teams.
So again, 2 lead facilitators, and then we'll need 6 team facilitators.
Do you want to, I think we've already settled the lead, haven't we?
Yes, we've settled all the leads. Workshop 3 will be June 10th through the 12th. Will include the SIP codes for the following rubrics: DNTA, DHYG, MSSG, OTHA, PTHA, SCWK, DACC, PMHS, CHLT, CMSW. And that's got how many teams? That's also 6. So again, 2 leads and then 6 facilitators. Then workshop 4 will be June the 24th through the 26th. It will covers SIP codes with the following rubrics: VTHA, BARB, CSME, HPRS, and SCIT. And that has 4 teams.
4 with
Right,
the
well, I'm going to explain all that in just a second. There's something that's kind of unique in one respect about all of these SIP codes and courses which will be reviewed this summer, given the fact that they are in nursing and allied health. There are courses which are considered healthcare core courses. Those specifically are courses in HPRS and SCIT. So the task group has recommended that what we do is a process which allows each of the workshops to have an opportunity to give input related to the HPRS and the SCIT courses. The reason for that is this. These, as core courses in nursing and allied health fields, at some institutions, those courses are not taught by those program faculty. They are taught by a whole separate group of faculty. At other institutions, it's the program faculty who may teach these courses, but not necessarily every allied health or nursing program would a person teach these courses. But these particular courses touch all of those program areas in some way or another, generally. So we felt it important that we honor a process which would allow those faculty, those instructional specialists who are impacted by the HPRS and SCIT courses to give some input to the faculty who actually teach those courses. So we've created a mechanism which will present at the opening of each workshop, which will inform the faculty at that workshop that you will have an opportunity the last morning of the workshop to give input on the specifics of the HPRS and SCIT courses. What we'll do is we'll take that input from that workshop and we'll put it in an electronic file. We'll collect from workshop 1, workshop 2, workshop 3, and workshop 4, those SIPs and rubrics that you saw I gave you. It's a lighter workshop, number 1, in terms of workload. Mostly the courses under review at workshop 4 are not as dependent on the HPRS and SCIT courses. And so what we're going to do is we're going to bring in a team of faculty on team 4 who are the instructional specialists of the HPRS and SCIT courses. And we're going to give them the compilation of the comments from workshops 1, 2, and 3. And then when they are reviewing those HPRS and SCIT courses, they will be able to benefit from the comments from the faculty from those previous workshops so that they can give due consideration to that feedback when they're doing their review. So we're hopeful that this will be productive and informative and hopefully as a result, it will generate an improvement in our review process.
Don, before you move on to the rest, can you talk a
Sure.
little bit about the Model 2s also? Because we,
Yes.
we didn't
Yes.
have them on the schedule.
Right,
Please
right,
give us
I
an
will.
update on the Model 2.
I sure will. As a way of explanation of what Model 2s are, both for the new folks here and for anybody that's listening in, is, and this is a part of our protocol, generally the workshops that we hold in a face-to-face meeting is Model 1 workshops. Model 2 workshops are for courses that are at 4 or fewer institutions around the state. Okay? So it's a very limited number of institutions that are teaching these specific courses. And so it's very difficult, in some cases, to try to get these folks, quite honestly, physically do a workshop. And so we've made attempts in the last few years to try to do something a little different to generate a review of these courses, because in some cases, if those 3 or 4 faculty don't attend a workshop, then those courses don't get reviewed. And so we, as a leadership group, grow concerned that maybe if a course has been sitting out there not reviewed or not changed in 8 or 10 years, how current really is it? So, what we have done is this year, we realized that part of the issue may be that we're running these workshops, of course, in the summer. And in fact, what was found by our leadership folks who agreed to be facilitators in the last couple of years is some, not all cases, but in some cases, the folks who are teaching these courses at these limited number of institutions, in some cases, are adjuncts. And so therefore, their availability in the summertime is almost nil. So what we're going to do this year as a way to attempt to address this issue even better is we have task group members who have agreed to serve as the lead facilitator and mentor facilitator for these Model 2s, and they will be done before the faculty leave for the summer. And so, given the fact that these are our courses are taught at just 2 or 3 institutions, we know who they are. We know who the institutions are. The real challenge is knowing who the faculty are, who are the content experts that we need to talk to. So that's part of the task. So Joyce Williams, Terry, and Robin have agreed, and we'll also need to talk with Steve. He had volunteered. I want to keep him on the list if he still wishes to be, and hopefully we'll see if this makes a difference. Another thing that we're doing is this. Yesterday, excuse me. Yesterday, we reviewed all the documentation that's getting ready to be sent out with respect to the nominations process. So let me give you an update on that. The actual nominations form, if you will, is a web-based form. And San Jacinto, as the project lead, agreed to work on that document. They had done so last year because workshops were being held at San Jac last year. This was when Midland was still running the project, and San Jacinto was the host location. When San Jacinto agreed to take on the Wecm project, there was an agreement also to do a review of this nominations document. And so with aid and assistance, we were able to do an update, and the nominations document is just about ready. And there will be letters that are going to, electronic letters, if you will, that are going to go out the first of next week. We're asking if TACE and TACTI will be willing to push those out to your membership. Faye Murphy will be working with y'all to do that. The coordinating board has its own listserv, and so Dwayne Hiller will be pushing that out through the coordinating board's listserv. And what we're doing is asking that these nominations be made by March 7th.
Don, just some of the members are asking, is it possible, Dwayne, to get the page up that we got yesterday from Chris Duke from San Jacinto? Is it possible for the IT guys
to demo the form
for the committee? So all the committee members, since a lot of them are going to go back to the regions, and the questions are asked of them. Is there any way that we can get it up? Get it up on the.
And I think it'll be a good idea because the committee needs to vote on the form, the link.
I mean, to get it up like today for now.
No,
Yeah,
no,
Yes.
to view it
To
right
view
here.
it today.
Right.
You want us to
I'll
take,
work with them, I guess, during lunch, and hopefully we'll have it after
Okay,
lunch.
we can
Great.
try to bring it up. And again, it's important for those of you that are new to the committee. What Don briefed on the Model 2 specifically, because everybody has attended a workshop. The reason we decided to have the people that volunteered to do the job with the Model 2s is the complexity of reaching people and making sure the documents are done correctly. They are serving as more of a mentor than anything else for those groups that are out there, and it's been a challenge. So if you want to learn more about that process, please get with one of the leads that are doing the Model 2 so you can see what takes place, because it is pretty involved. Most of the time it's not a face-to-face meeting. It's done over computers. Sometimes they do meet in person, but Robin has done it before, Kurt's done some of it, Joyce has done it, Steve did it last year. I think Terry actually headed some of the groups. So if you have any questions about that process, please get with one of them, and they're pretty knowledgeable on what it takes to get these people together and actually accomplish something that's worthwhile, and then we need to get it back to the project staff so that it can be documented in the database to Dwayne. So again, those are the key people: Joyce, Kurt, Terry, Robin, and Steve is not here today. And anybody else have served on a Model 2? Catherine, I think you?
Yeah.
I did, but the difficulty, as Don pointed out, was trying to get access to the faculty members. So, at least one rubric last summer, we were unable to complete it. So,
And I'll welcome anybody I'll most likely do mine virtually, and any of the Wecm Leadership Committee is more than welcome to sit in on the workshop that I hold virtually. So please just let me know and I will give you access. Additionally, as Don mentioned with the nomination form, although we know the colleges that offer these programs, the Model 2 nomination form will also include nominations for those programs on that document and nomination form.
Right.
And when Dwayne gets it up, you'll get to see it, that there's actually a place on the website that for Model 2s, you also have to nominate the faculty members and administrators. So we'll try to get that up. Don, sorry to interrupt you, but we'll
very
get back
important.
on track.
The electronic letter that's going to go out to through the associations and the coordinating board website to these listservs. Again, as I was saying, the nominations are due back And again, this is a web-based nominations process, but they must be completed by 5 o'clock on March the 7th. The reason why we chose March 7th is this. Almost the whole rest of the month of March is lost because one institution or another in this state takes a week off for spring break. And so that's another improvement that we believe was needed, was we were finishing these nominations sometime in the past, usually towards the middle or end of March, and we were hitting people during spring break time. And so we believe that by pushing up the nominations timeline, that hopefully we'll get better response. Another thing that we've done, and with the aid of, again, the person that was assisting, Chris Duke from San Jacinto, working with this group, we restructured the nominations form, and once you get a chance to see it, you'll see for yourself. But basically, rather than emphasizing zip codes, which hardly anybody knows, and rather than even emphasizing rubrics, what we're really going to emphasize are the course titles. That's where the faculty and the deans live, so to speak. And so we actually were able to do a drop-down list so that they didn't have to write in the courses that their nominees have expertise in. There's a large drop-down list of every one of these courses out of the Wecm database. And all that nominator has to do is check each course that their nominee has expertise in. What we also believe that will do is do some process improvement when the project staff reviews the nominees. We can rather quickly see through an Excel spreadsheet whether there are courses that are on the list to be reviewed for which we have not received any nominee who has an expertise in that course. And therefore, we've got a gap in representation potentially at the workshop of having courses for which we don't have an expert to review. And so hopefully that will give us a sense of foreknowledge that will allow us to kind of reach out and make sure that we're covering all the courses that need to be covered. That is going to take a little extra work, so we need a little extra time. So again, that's one of the reasons why we're boosting up, if you will, the deadline. The rest of the documents, there's a congratulatory letter. There's a congratulatory letter for the nominees who wind up being chosen. What we recommended yesterday is, given the fact that these courses in these cluster program areas are in the nursing and health careers area, that we needed to make sure that we have room or space, if you will, per team for 8 to 10 institutional experts. So we'll have, hopefully, as much ability to accommodate nominations as possible. Certainly what we try to do is avoid having more than one faculty member from the same institution in the same team. And our protocols tell us that what we need to do is make sure that we're reaching out to large and small geographic representation, so that we are doing our best when the project staff looks at all these nominations to take all these issues into consideration so that these teams are comprised as much as possible a representative sample of what's out in our state in that particular course area.
Okay, Don, we're going to take a break. Faye, did you have a comment? You had a comment regarding the form? I know you put your hand up when he was talking about the form.
No, basically.
It's very difficult to handle a group of 20 or 25, which we could have in some of these areas. It's also very difficult to feel that you've done a good job if you only have one or two representatives. So I really want you all to help me to be sure that the word is out there and the faculty members are really getting the word. Many times information will go to a chief administrator and it just may not filter down to the faculty. We want them to participate in this because it is their courses.
Thank you, Faye. We'll go ahead and take a 10-minute break, and we'll come back, and Don will continue to brief us on the rest of the summer workshops. Thank you. The website where the nominations are going to be put in by the nominators for their instructional specialists. So Dwayne is going to be helping us out, Faye and Catherine. I remind you, as you're speaking in the meeting, since we're broadcasting live, please get the mic close to you and make sure it's turned on. If you can't hear yourself over the system here, something is not working. So please get a little bit closer to the microphone. So we're going to go ahead and get Dwayne to start, and Faye and Catherine will also walk us through, and then Don will come back and continue his presentation on the summer workshops. Dwayne?
Okay, you'll be receiving an email with a link to this page. We don't have it live yet, but this is just the example of what the page looks like. Your first page will show you the dates and the workshop numbers and dates. And if you click on the link, courses to be reviewed, then you'll get a list of the courses at that workshop. For example, if you click on workshop number 2, you'll see a list like this showing all courses and the titles that are being reviewed at that workshop. Okay, to start the application process, go to the bottom of the page and click on Next. And then you'll fill out the form. I've selected Workshop 2 just for an example, but select the workshop that you're applying for. And again, for the special workshops, that's the Model 2 workshop for the programs that have very few colleges teaching those courses. That would be the special workshops tab. But like if you're signing up for Workshop 2, you just fill out administrator's name, and this, of course, is the dean or the vice president who is making the nomination, and then the faculty member that you're nominating. And then go on to the next screen, and it'll show you a list of all the courses, again, from that same list, and you will just select which courses that particular faculty member has expertise in or that faculty member has taught. Again, depending on how many courses or what type of courses that person teaches, you can just select the courses. This is an important message to say that the nominee, if selected to come to the workshop, is working for statewide and not for the specific college that they're from. And also that the college will support that nominee with travel expenses and release time from college and continue on. Just to give you a summary of the nomination you make, it'll show all the courses that you have selected for that nominee, and you'll just submit that to. Again, if you have an additional faculty who teach other courses, you can nominate that faculty member, but again, it's one nominee per form. So you just go through the whole process. continue through the process again to nominate a second faculty member and so on.
And remember that we will be reviewing the nominees, and we want to select faculty members that are from across the state, faculty members that have expertise in the courses that are being reviewed, and we'll try to select individuals so that all of these courses will be covered, if possible.
Are there any questions or comments about the usability of just from what you saw Dwayne do on the website? I know, Dwayne, when you had the summary, I know there's a way to edit, right? If you made a mistake, you can go back and edit the nomination.
Sorry, I skipped that part. And once I've submitted, it clears the fields. But when you get to the final page, it'll show the each of these fields, and the name will be hyperlinked. And so you can click on that link. I'll see if I can. See if I can do it real quick and see if I can get back to that page.
May I ask a question while he's trying to get us to that page?
Yes.
Was there, Don, consideration given to that May 21, 22 date as far as faculty being available? I'm thinking the nursing directors would probably be on 12-month, but you kind of hate to restrict it to their availability.
Right. One of the things that we were trying to do is look at the length of time in the summer that we have to do these workshops, because then project staff has a very limited period of time to do the data input to the coordinating board, because then the coordinating board, i.e. Dwayne Hiller, basically, has to spend time looking at what the project staff has input to check and make sure that everything is correct before it goes live. And one of the things that we're trying to do is to get the Wecm actually posted by the start of the fall semester. I know the coordinating board does everything it can to try to do that and meet the at least September 1 deadline. Quite honestly, those of us in the task group keeps pushing for about the third week of August actually as the release date for the Wecm, because that's really when faculty return. And as soon as faculty return, they want to go ahead and see the new edition of Wecm. Having said all of that, you have to back up then all these workshops to say, what can we do to get everything done so that by August 1st, that input is finished by the project staff. August 1, you have to back up another month to July 1 to allow the project staff that 30-day period to do all the input, because basically in any one summer we're doing input to somewhere between 1,200 and 2,000 courses. So when you look at the period of time we have, we started looking at the actual end of spring term, which is usually second week is when graduation. Some institutions do mini terms and that kind of stuff. Usually first summer terms start the first week of June. So generally, faculty are available during that period of time. Or even if they are off contract, we can't help the fact that they're on 12-month or 10-month or 11-month contracts. Summer is when we can hold these workshops. We used to try many years ago. We used to try holding workshops in the fall, from late October to mid-November, and in the spring from late February to 1st of March period, and then you got spring breaks, and then you have preparation for end of spring terms, And so the faculty, when we would ask them about when do you want to show up for workshops, all of them said summer. So it's basically been input from faculty who say, we can't break away from our regular work to come to these workshops for 2.5 days in the middle of a semester. We'd rather come in the summer.
Right, and I appreciate that, but I just needed to ask because
Sure.
since it's been in June,
Sure.
the early part of July, I know that we're going to get those questions.
Yeah.
And they probably will, in many cases, say, I'm off contract during those
Sure.
2 weeks in between spring and the beginning of summer. So that's the reason I asked.
I understand. Yeah. And that's the reason why in the early years, in the early 2000s period of time, that's why we ran workshops in the fall and the spring. But ran into all kinds of issues with faculty having to pay substitutes. Often that's a responsibility of the instructor, not the institution. Trying to find qualified substitutes while they're at a workshop. So it became such a problematic issue, and we said to them, well, when is it that you can come? You're willing to come. They said, even if we're off contract, we're willing to come in the summer. So.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, Dwayne, are you ready for that part of the demo there?
Sure, yeah. If you look at the screen again, when you get to after you fill out the form, when you get to the final summary page, if you find an error that you need to go back and correct, you notice that each of the field names is hyperlinked, and it'll go back to that page. And here's an example. You need to go back to the page for the nomination. You can go back here and then make changes. And then continue on. All of the other selections you've made are still there, so you don't have to fill out each page. But anytime you need to make a change, just go back to that, whatever field it is you need to change, and it'll take you to that page.
Having said that, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, that might be, Catherine, something that Chris might be able to put in there as kind of a notation, as kind of a direction to the person filling out the form, if that happens, what to do.
So again, we want to hear from every member on this committee here, because remember, this is representing us. This is going to go out as a tool that the Wecm Leadership Committee has produced for the state, although the task group was the one that did most of the work, but every one of yours name is going to be on this here. So we want to hear from you before it gets out there, and we get the negative and positive comments. So this is the time to make some comments and let us know what you don't feel is going to help your nominators or the instructional specialists once they get nominated. So please, this is the time to get those comments out.
Rafael, this is the form we used last go round, somewhat, right?
Yes, it's improved. But
now, what I experienced was we had the opportunity to nominate 2 individuals, and it was done by 2 separate administrators. My question, how do we know this has been, we submitted 1 nomination, and then we get another one, which is the same one. Do we get any feedback from that?
Duplicate.
A duplicate, yeah.
Well, basically what the project staff will know, that an institution has nominated the same, 2 different nominators nominated the same person, or in some cases if 2 separate nominators nominated 2 different people for the same content area. All that's going to be apparent with the report that the project staff is going to see. And so, in essence, when the project staff is making its selection of who's going to serve on these teams, that's part of the responsibility of the staff, is to deal with those duplicates or errors or whatever you want to call them. And in fact, one of the, right before we took the break, I said that There's going to be a confirmation letter that's going to be sent out to the nominees who are selected. But additionally, there's going to be a letter sent to every person who was nominated but not selected. So the institution will know both. You'll know who was selected and you'll know who was not selected.
I have a question. Going back to Juan's concern, is there a way on the website when a person has been nominated that it can reply and say, this person has already been nominated? If it's at the same workshop. And I think the difference would be people can be nominated for several different workshops and or the Model 2s, which we have on the special workshops, so they can be nominated 2 or 3 times. But if they're nominated by the same institution for the same workshop, is there something that could flag out that says this person has already been nominated? Not saying, I'm just asking the question from San Jacinto.
I'll put that in as an action item for Chris to take a look at and see if that's possible. Okay.
Any other comments? Jose?
Can we look at the acknowledgement screen again, the one that talks about supporting them as an institution? The screen that says we will provide travel expenses and okay, on this screen, can there be some sort of a statement that says, by clicking next, I acknowledge that the above is true, or I am authorized to make this nomination, or something like that?
What you're really asking for is we add an area that would help the nominator acknowledge that he's going to pay for that trip.
Right, but
and
they're not clicking submit, they're clicking next here.
Yeah.
Also, we might move this to the final page.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to what a credit card or like when you're
Validation.
validation, you know, when you go in and actually accept that.
Wonder if maybe it should be at the top.
Or click on one of those hyperlink titles, yeah.
If I understand what you're saying is instead of a next here, this is where the submit should be.
There is a submit there.
There is, but it's not the live link. The live link is the next.
Yes.
Or
Instead of submit, I see what the
So
problem
it's
is.
basically
you
out of
could
sequence.
Say by clicking next, I acknowledge.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
have an addition, basically an additional box right under that whole statement that would just say, I agree to the above statement or something of that nature. and then they hit the next button. Yeah.
Or check it off, you're saying, check it off?
Yeah.
Check off the box, yes. Because we do get the instructional specialists that come to the workshops and they have said, well, I thought the project was going to pay for my travel and my per diem and everything else. So it's always one or two that believe that that's the case. So we want to try to avoid that. Okay, thank you, Joe, for the highlight there. Any other comments on the page?
I have just one, Raphael. Whenever you're looking at the list of potential courses under that workshop, I realize they were broken down by the rubric. Would it help the nominators to know which rubrics are going to be in what team area? Because if I've got multiple instructors that I want to send, and they may cross, especially when we're dealing with these health sciences, and they may cross over into different areas, I may have them available in two different workshops. Would that be, or because it would be parts of two different teams, or is that going to be?
Yeah, currently they're not listed by teams, right? It's just by the workshop. Don, correct?
By a zip code number.
Zip code.
Actually.
Okay. So that is concern. You're right, because.
What I would like to say is I think that it's a great suggestion. It may not be feasible and possible to reorganize this in time for this year's workshops, but certainly I think that is a quality feedback that can be considered in the next iteration.
Yeah, it's a very good point, because the person could be at the same workshop but two different teams. Yes, go ahead, Kurt.
So currently, it is divided by workshops. So you could nominate one person for all 4 workshops, and that system would still let you do it. But within the workshop is what you're saying.
Workshop in each team.
To the teams. But if you mark them for each of the courses that they actually teach for, they're going to be dumped into the sorting for the teams. So either there's a way I think what you're probably asking for, because you can't be in more than one team at a workshop, right? You can't
more
duplicate
than one
yourself.
college, correct.
But maybe a way of prioritizing which one is more important. I don't know.
I think I know what you're getting at. So yes, you could serve in 2 of the 3 or 4 teams that are being reviewed that summer. Yeah. And so which team do I prefer to be on based on my expertise?
Yeah. If you go into workshop 2 and you submit one person for 3 different teams, if it was set up that way, they can only participate in one, so we need to have a way of knowing which one you really preferred them to be.
Right, and I may have a faculty member that I could submit for one of the other teams, but I don't know where the dividing point is.
Right.
If I have 2 very good faculty members, I could send them both, one in each team, but I don't know where that dividing point is on those courses.
But there's
I would think the dividing point would be along that rubric area where you see here on the H Lab and MDCA, and then it goes down to the other one. But I would think those would be the dividing point. But again, how would the project person know which team the preference is for?
Well, again, I personally think that it has some viable, positive aspects to it. I think the task group needs to take that feedback and work it through to see if there are some unintended negative consequences as well. In some team structures, because of the content area, they tend to be more silo of expertise, for example. Faculty who teach in radiologic technology are not going to be the same instructional experts who are in nursing, for example. So the expertise is a little bit more vertical. But in certain areas, if you get over into business and finance and accounting and all those kinds of areas, some of the expertise is a little bit more horizontal. So I think what we have to do is to take all of that into consideration and play out the scenarios to see whether putting these in team structures is an improvement or not. So
Sure.
I think it's worthy of consideration.
Yeah, when you get to the IT field too, that gets to be a little bit complicated. So that's another area that, we really have to look closely. Okay. All right, so any other comments? Dwayne has been playing with the website here, so anybody see any other issues? Again, I remind everybody, this is the product of the leadership group, so it's going to go out to the field. We want to do the best we can to get it out there and have positive feedback from everybody.
One response to Dwayne, as I've been facilitator or lead facilitator at some of these, we've had people show up for the workshops who then will self-identify, I'm really in the wrong room. I need to be over there. So, we have seen moving of people around once they've arrived at the workshop and self-declared their areas of expertise.
Kristen, you had a comment?
So on your note, is there an area for comments then? Is there a box if somebody wanted to leave a preference or?
Yeah, the Wecm's comments page, if you see something, we're talking about in the field, yes, and the nominator or the instructional specialist, but not on this specific page. No, there isn't a place for you to leave a comment. It's simply a nomination page. But, again, with the Wecm, the comments page, someone can go in there and we will take that into consideration at the, our group here or the group that's working in the trenches to get this out to everybody. So the task group will definitely look at those comments.
Mr. Chair, I'll proceed then. I don't have too much more to cover. I want to iterate again that this nominations electronic letter to notify everyone that the nominations process is open, that will be sent by Faye Murphy to Kay and to Kristen so that those can be pushed out through the associations, TACE and TACTI, and then Dwayne Hiller will push it out through the coordinating board listserv. And so that's going to go out next week. So all of this is about to happen. So get ready. Kind of the final thing that I wanted to do was to review with you just briefly, just to give you a sense of what the workshop will consist of in terms of the actual activities and when and so on and so forth. I already gave you the dates. The workshop 1, May 21, 22. Workshop 2, June 4th through 5th. Workshop 3, June 11th through 12th. And workshop 4, June 25 through 26. Now, actually what will occur is those are Wednesdays and Thursdays. Okay, each of those are Wednesday, Thursdays. On the Tuesday prior to each workshop in the afternoon will be facilitator training. That starts officially at 2 p.m. At Central Campus, San Jacinto, at the Transportation Center. And so from 2 until 6 is facilitator training. Starting at 2:30 will be data entry specialist training, and Joe Garcia has volunteered, as he has done so well in the past, in assisting us in getting our data entry specialists trained up and ready. So again, the facilitator sign-up form, Faye has it. Let's go ahead and start circulating that, Faye. And as I said, there's a lot of facilitator positions that we need to fill. We've got 7 teams, workshop 1, 6, workshop 2, 6, workshop 3, and 4 teams on workshop 4. So that's about 23. I'm counting real quick off the top of my head. So,
and just like presidential elections, sign up multiple times.
Yeah. The workshop days themselves, those Wednesdays and Thursdays, basically starts at 7:30 in the morning with shuttles picking the participants up from their hotel, transporting them to the transportation building. The orientation starts at 8:30 in the morning. And by 9 o'clock, the teams will start breaking up and going to their rooms and start their work. And they'll work until 4:30 on that first day, take a shuttle back to the hotel. Next morning, Thursday, shuttle pick them up at the hotel. 8:30, the team continues, and the workshop concludes at 3 p.m. Basically, at 8:30 on that Thursday morning will be when we actually do the feedback process for the Health Careers Core courses. That's almost everything I know.
Quite a bit done. So let's remind everybody on the committee that you are required to facilitate at least in one workshop as part of being in this committee. So as the list comes around, go ahead and look at those dates. We have the leads already in place for all 4 workshops, and also the model tools or the special courses that are going to be discussed. So again, I think a few of the people that know the model tools offered, if you want to participate just as an observant to see what's going on with the model tools, communicate with them, and they'll go ahead and help you with that process, so you understand what's going on. So,
and Raphael, if I may, just for clarification, not all of the Wecm Leadership Committee is a facilitator. Some of the association representatives are not workshop facilitators. So
yes, and obviously, if you also have to have been trained as a facilitator prior to
pointing that out.
Yes, thank you, Kurt.
However, if you would like to become in the future, we will have facilitator trainings in the future, and you can become a facilitator.
Okay, so again, look at those dates, and Faye would like to have that back, because the sooner she has a solid number of people for each of the workshops, the sooner she can get out the information. Can you talk a little bit about what you're going to send the facilitators, Faye, as far as the documents that are going to come out and the communication between you and the lead facilitators and the facilitators?
Well, I do have a list of the individuals who have been trained, and once I look at the number of slots, then I will send out the letter that's been sent out before, maybe with a few little edits. I'll put my name on there, okay? And I'll continue to work that list until I fill all the slots. We know that at the last minute, sometimes things come up and somebody has to drop out. If that happens, you may get a phone call from me saying, can you fill in for? And then, of course, both Jeff and I have been facilitators. And if something happens at the last minute, we certainly will move up and we'll join you. Okay?
Okay, so you won't get a binder in the mail like in the past, and most of you know that. I don't think last year the binders were not mailed out. So everything you're going to get on your email, but when you get to the workshop, there'll be a binder there, which is going to be covered in the training. And again, I think the PowerPoint was final yesterday as far as what we're going to do for the facilitators and the instructional specialists. So you'll get to see that PowerPoint. I don't know if we're going to email that to the facilitators do we agree to do that or not? Or we're just going to
I had planned to present it first thing so we'd all come together and begin to focus on, the workshop. But if you prefer, I can send it to you. As a matter of fact, I would encourage you, if you have questions about any of this, you want to see what I'm doing, just send me an email, and I certainly will provide that for you.
Okay. So yes, the PowerPoint was modified heavily yesterday with the task group, so there are some changes in there that obviously you're going to get to see once you get to the workshop, and also for the instructional specialist. Okay, so the list is circulating right now. We'll wait to get that back for each of the workshops. We still have a few items to discuss here. Does anybody know what time lunch is going to be served? Dwayne is not in the room right now. 12 o'clock? Okay. All right, so a couple of other items that, before we get to the new business, if anybody has any items on new business, but let's talk about the next meetings for the rest of the year. Before I get to that, I really want to take the time now to thank Don and Dina for the work that they've done with the task group. And those of you that are not involved with the task group, I just want to remind everybody that a lot of this work, a lot of times is not done here on site when we meet. Just taking all those rubrics and making sure that they fit, like Don briefed earlier. It's not anymore about CIPs. You really got to dig down and look at the course descriptions. Where is it making sense? So when the facilitators and the instructional specialists get to the workshop, it makes sense. We're making an impact on the courses, just like the core courses for the allied health areas. That took a long time, and thanks to a lot of people in the committee that have a lot of knowledge about allied health. You look at some of those complex areas. Do they cross over? I know we have a few allied health people on the committee, probably a few nurses included in the committee, but you have to appreciate what was done in the task group and the two leaders of the task group, Don and Dina, just to put those rubrics in place and make sure that they align and we don't waste anybody's time at the workshop. So Don, again, Dina's not here today because of some family issues that came up. So we want to thank you as being the leader of that task group, and also Dina for all the work that was done, because a lot of time goes into preparation for the summer workshop. It's an incredible amount of time that goes in. So Don, thank you for the work you guys have done.
You're welcome, but quite honestly, this could not have been done as well without the expertise of some folks who have a lot more skill in working databases than I do, specifically Robin and Dwayne. I'm not knowledgeable about how to do pivot tables. And quite honestly, folks, that manipulation was absolutely critical to the work that we've been doing. And so it was really with the expertise of Robin and working with Dwayne with Wecm database information in order for us to run these very complex pivot tables to take a look at this data in a way that allowed us to strategically think through the logic of what courses belonged in workshop relationships with one another. So you're right, Raphael. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to do that kind of work. And it was my hope a couple of years ago that we could get to the point to where this would be kind of an automated process and we could do this work by project staff so that those of us on this task group didn't have to do this for the rest of our lives, because it's really tiring. And we're meeting ourselves a lot to deal with this kind of stuff. But I really have come to the realization that we're not there yet to be able to just automate this process, because it takes acumen. It takes instructional acumen in addition to manipulation of databases. Folks who have been out in the field and in instructional administration positions long enough to understand the relationships of how instruction is actually given. And so you can't just sit in our office and manipulate this and expect it to all work. So it's really the expertise of the folks as a whole out of this group. I said that to them yesterday, and I'm gladly able to say it again, that we're very fortunate, folks, to have the expertise that exists at this table. And those of you who are new, we look forward to your expertise in making contributions, as y'all have already started doing. So that's what all this is about. It does take a village. So thank you.
Yeah, so the work has begun for next year already.
Yes.
So the task group is already looking at what clusters are going to be reviewed, what the rubrics that are going to be included. So that has already begun. Finish this one and you're right back up, starting with the next summer workshops for next year. And speaking about databases, we want to thank Catherine for finding someone for us to be able to do all the work with the web page that's going to go out and manipulating data. So Chris Duke, we want to thank Catherine for finding someone in her institution that was able to do this great amount of work and make it happen live, as we were yesterday discussing some of the issues we had with the. So give our
Thank you,
thanks
Rafi. I'll pass that along to Chris. He has done a wonderful job with this. So.
It's like Don said, we're not all experts at pivot tables and everything else, but we have the resources available. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the next meetings, not only for the task group, but also for the leadership committee meeting. We had a discussion internally with the executive committee, and some of the members were present, about the April meeting possibly not being held for the sake of not having to drive to Austin and save time and money for the project. So those of you that are, Don, you with the task group, give us an update.
Let me report officially to the leadership committee that the task group is recommending that at least the task group itself not meet as scheduled for the middle of April. And the justification or reason is that meeting in April is too late. The work we needed to get done yesterday at the end. So we're done with that. And given all the other obligations that we do have individually, we just believe that we need to dispense with the task group meeting. The leadership group itself may wish to also consider whether or not the leadership meeting needs to be held, but that's for discussion at this group now. So.
Okay, so we definitely we're going to have a motion here for the task group, that not meeting in April, and then obviously this committee also we recommend that we don't meet in April. And there are other things going out throughout the state, as Jeff will tell you, with the programs of study. Some of us are involved with that process, so it's just a lot of meetings and a lot of time that we can't be away from the office. So, again, my recommendation, and we'll have a motion here on the floor in a second, is that we also cancel our meeting for the month of April as a committee, and then talk about future meetings, in our meeting in August. With report outs of the summer workshops and all the activities that will take place between now, and there's a lot of activities that will take place between now and August by the time we come back. Obviously, the workshops and some of the other activities, and as you look at the GIPWE, as you look at the 60-hour rule, all of these things that are going on, we're all involved with that, and it takes a lot of our time. Joyce,
Mr. Chair, before we move on to the motion that you're proposing in a few minutes, could we also kind of back up and have a motion to approve the revision to the form and with the changes that and maybe we can have Faye or someone else talk about what changes that we were talking about, so we can have a motion to approve the form from the whole committee.
Absolutely. So we'll go back and let's get a recap on the form, the nomination form, and then we'll have a motion to approve as with the edits. So Catherine, are you going to help us with that? Did you keep notes? Or?
I have been.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I have that we would like to ask Dr. Duke to look at putting in a notation regarding editing. Then there was a question about whether or not you could flag a nomination to notify the nominator that this person has already been nominated by somebody else at your institution. And I will ask him if he can do that. And then there was a question about, instead of saying by clicking the submit, since that's not a submit, it's a next button, that have Chris either look at making that a submit button or changing the wording in that paragraph. Let's see. And then there was a suggestion from Dwayne about looking at the nomination form because it's really set up by SIPs and not by teams, and see what can be done by that. But that doesn't go to Chris. That actually goes back to the task force for discussion. Okay? So those were the revisions that I collected.
Any other comments on those revisions so we can have a motion to proceed with the form because it's going to go out? We expect this form to be out when? Faye, again, can you tell us what the date is?
We are projecting that the form should go out Monday.
This coming Monday. Okay, with those changes. Okay, so do we have a motion to approve the form as presented with the edits that Catherine just read to us?
Moved.
I'll second.
Kurt, moved. Second, Terry. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Joyce, for the recommendation. So let's go ahead and let's have again, the discussion. Don already gave us the reason why we are not going to have a meeting in April, the task force. So let's move on that one first, on the task force, not having the regular scheduled meeting in April.
Mr. Chair, I move that the task group not meet in April.
I second.
Okay. Any comments? So we're good. We're going to go ahead and move on the motion. And those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you, Don. Okay, and then on the leadership meeting, which will be the day after the task group meeting, also the recommendation is that we don't meet in April. And obviously there's going to be communication via email on any issues that come up between now and then. The big thing is going to be facilitators. We have our leads. Please communicate, because every one of you in here is going to be at the workshop. And before we leave today, I would like to get an idea, Faye, of how many people signed up, and maybe sometime you'll get an email to everybody on how many more facilitators you need for the workshop, so we can get
I'll do that this week.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we are planning on not having the April meeting then. Have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I would like to say, as far as the leadership meeting itself, part of this, the members of the leadership committee need to consider the workload that the Wecm project staff will be under during the middle of April. They're trying to get ready for these workshops. So I think that's needs to be a part of our deliberation of whether we hold a meeting in April or not, is the impact that it might have on the project staff.
Jeff, since you're managing the staff, any comments from you?
The comment that I would make is also we're leading up a second project, which is the Program of Study project for the state of Texas. And in that project, we have set a date for a beta test of our process in the real estate area. And with that being said, that date is the 23rd through the 25th. for doing initial training of people in the process, and then actually doing the entire process. So that is an additional workload that we'll be dealing with as well. And so that's just another consideration, and to keep that in mind, because not only are we getting ready for a Wecm workshop starting in May, but we're getting ready for a major workshop on programs of study that'll be basically the week following that proposed date in April for the leadership meeting.
Robin reminded me, when we look at the protocol for how many meetings the Wecm Leadership Committee, by not having an April meeting, does anybody know if we are not following the protocol? It's supposed to be 3 a year?
Yes. Right.
I'm being reminded. So we've met August, we met October, and now,
and we'll meet in August.
Again, yes. So we may not have to have the April meeting, so we're within the parameters that are set by the protocol. Any other comments on the Wecm leadership? Any other comments? And thank you, Don, again for reminding us of the load that that staff is going to have. Any other comments? Oh, okay. So we're going to go ahead and get the motion on the floor here and vote on it.
Raphael, I move that we not have the Wecm Leadership Committee meeting in April.
Second.
Okay. Motions on the floor to not have the meeting, second by Don. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so we will not have an April meeting, and we'll be communicating with you as far as the dates. And I believe we set dates for August already.
That's
Yes.
correct.
Okay. So, Faye, do you have those dates handy?
Yes, August 5th and 6th.
Okay, so
That's August 5th for the task group.
Yes.
get those on your calendar. All right, so we are now, is there any other business? We're going to take a lunch break here in a few minutes, but we can start a conversation. Have any other business pending now?
Mr. Chair, I would like to make a recommendation. In years past, we used to have a list of the leadership members with names, institutions, address, email address, office phone number, cell phone number, and we have no such list currently. So I would ask that the project generate a list of who the members are, and certainly y'all will have to query each of us as to that type of information so you can create the list.
Don, Raphael has a prior list, and I would like for him to circulate that if possible and add, change, whatever, and then that'll be set up for the project to begin their work right from that list.
Yes, in case Faye doesn't have a digital copy. So we're going to circulate this, and you can update your information, and then if you're not on the list, please add your name. So Don, we're going to go ahead and get this out to everybody on the committee.
We can do this at lunchtime.
Okay, we also have we have an electronic version that we've been updating as far as Faye and myself. We don't have the phone numbers and addresses on there, but we do have everything else as far as everyone's term, where they're from, what region they're representing. So we'll update that, include all that information in there.
Well,
thank you.
Part of this is it's helpful for us to communicate with one another. So.
Okay, so during lunch, we'll go ahead and get this updated and get it back so we can get it to Faye, so the document can go out to everybody. Because a lot of times we're trying to get a hold of people like today, Steve. We never did get a hold of him, but it's good to have the phone numbers. Okay, so we're going to take a break for lunch right now, and then we'll come back. And if there's other issues,
He needs to know how long we take.
Okay, so right now it's 11:40, so we'll come back at 12:30. Okay, we'll come back at 12:30. Thank you. Okay, so we have everybody back, except for Dwayne. Dwayne is still at a meeting. I believe he told me earlier he was
Right.
going to a meeting this morning.
That's
So
correct.
we're going to get back on track here and finish some items that we have outstanding. Let's talk about one item here. We had a discussion. The executive committee will be meeting for a little bit of time before we depart today, just to talk about the rotation of new members this coming year in October. We'll go ahead and have to look. We have the current list of members and looking at, who's coming off, whose term has, been completed, and looking at the protocol, what the procedures are for replacement. So we're going to need to do that. The other item that I spoke to Jeff and Faye is regarding travel reimbursement. I know we have some new members here. An email will be going out to you, and if you didn't get one because some of you are either at the wrong institution now or the right institution, whichever way you want to look at it. But we'll get an email. I'll get an email out to everybody. Karen sent out an email. I probably got it. And I know Faye got it. So you'll get an email with the forms that you need to fill out so you can get reimbursed for your hotel and your travel to Austin. And if you have any questions, again, regarding how to get those forms filled out and, any pertinent questions, you can get with Jeff and Faye will give you some information.
And keeping those receipts is very important, and submitting those along with the travel reimbursement form. So please be sure that is all complete.
Okay, and I know that with St. Jack, you have to be a vendor there, and I'm sure most of you participated as a facilitator. You should be in their system, right, Jeff?
Should be.
If not, you need to communicate that to Faye and Jeff.
Yeah, and then if we need to, then we'll get you the documents so that we can get you on the vendor list.
I would recommend that the staff check the current list of leadership members against your vendor list that you have. That way you'll know.
Okay, so again, you'll see the email probably by the end of the day today. If not earlier, you'll get the email with all those documents that you need to fill out. Okay, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to call on any of us. Okay, I don't have any other items unless someone else has any other business to discuss. We're still waiting for, it looks like the lunch is going to be here later than we expected. We were just notified there was a glitch. So does anybody have anything else before we officially adjourn the meeting? We're waiting for Dwayne to come back. Hopefully he'll get out of that meeting. He said he'll try to come back, but it might have taken longer than he expected. We'll go around the room. Anything else? No? Jeff, anything?
No.
Okay. Okay, so let's have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. All right, so the meeting is adjourned. We'll be seeing everybody throughout the summer workshops or at another event. Thank you for coming to Austin and serving on the committee. I'm sure the state of Texas appreciates your time, and we will be seeing each other more than likely at the summer workshops. Thank you.